Hi, Sammy. Hi, Sammy. How are you doing? You doing okay? Sleepy day because it's raining. Tired? Are you tired? Good morning. It is happy Wednesday, hump day. It's October 29th, getting very close to Halloween. It is rainy and cold in Georgia. It just has a damp, cold feeling. And I've got a million thoughts in my head, so got to try to get them cleared out and say what's on my mind. There's so many things going on in America, but of course, the biggest issue today is that food stamps are expected to not be available as of November 1st. This impacts 42 million Americans, 1 in 8 or 1 in 4 children. What do you feel about this? I know people who are not on food stamps have often said that nobody deserves food stamps. Personally, we have never been on food stamps in my entire life. Growing up in a family of 8, we didn't have a ton of food. We had enough food. We were all average weight, not heavy. We were just right. We had 3 meals a day growing up. We ate breakfast at 7, lunch at 12, and dinner at 5. No snacks. No snacks at all. We had very few sweet things, although my mother had a sweet tooth and did like candy. We didn't have much Coke. We had a little bit of Coke in a week, but maybe one. And back then, Cokes were not the Cokes they are today. They were much smaller bottles. I think they sold an 8-pack of the bottles, which I don't remember the size, but they were the thinner bottles, not the big 2 liters or a can size. So we did have some sugar in our diet. We had enough to ruin my teeth, that's for sure. I have a mouthful of fillings and crowns now from that. But back to food stamps, what do you feel? I feel really, because I am a highly sensitive person, I'm an empath, I feel really upset about the whole issue that people are being abruptly cut off from their food. Right or wrong, whether they should be getting them or not, well, the majority of people getting them, I've heard different statistics. I've heard from 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% are working at least part-time hours. If they're not working, they're disabled, they're children, or they're elderly. I know of only one person, and I think in my entire life, I've only known of one person who is currently on food stamps. It is my brother's girlfriend. The boomers were greatly affected by the Great Recession in 2007 to 2009. We were greatly impacted by it. Steve, my husband, lost his job, and we did apply for food stamps at the time. We were approved for some very, very low amount, even though the only income we had was unemployment. I can't remember. Back then, food stamps were a lower amount. I think during the Obama administration, he did increase the amounts or the number of people getting them. That's my understanding. From my memory, I think we were approved for maybe $100, and that was because we owned our house. We were not renting because we were in a house instead of renting. I think we were approved for $100, and we said that wasn't worth it, and we just went without. At that time, I know that our groceries were $1,000 a month. We had 2 grown teenagers, 2 dogs, and Steve and myself. That was groceries, toiletries, shampoo, toothpaste, all those necessities. And couponing was huge. I got into couponing, got our bill from $1,000 down to $300 a month, plus had so much extra shampoo and floss and toothbrushes. I was having garage sales constantly, selling the extra stuff, maybe making $100 from that, and then selling other things in the house. We squeaked by during the Great Recession, but it greatly impacted our future as Steve is still working now, over 65. But of course, even if we did have comfortable enough to retire, health insurance is the biggest issue for everyone. So I feel very sad about the people losing food stamps. I feel very, very sad. My brother's girlfriend, who's 69 with a bad back and works seasonal jobs, I think, and I don't know for sure, but I had heard that she got maybe 150 a month, which is nothing. But then it was cut down to maybe 29 a month before being totally lost. after the BBB passed in July, which they intended to cut down food stamps drastically, Steve lost his job because the business he worked for relied heavily on food stamps. So they didn't tell us that he lost it because of this, but I knew right before he lost it. I said, if this BBB passes, you are not going to have a job anymore because so much of your business income for the business he worked for was from food stamps. And additionally, he was still on health insurance over 60. At 49, most companies get rid of their employees because, and I don't know for sure, my guess, and I think it's pretty accurate, is that at 50, health insurance goes way up, and at 60, it goes up so much. Businesses do not want to keep you at 50. But if you're there at 60 and getting health insurance, you're on your way out the door. I know just recently, my daughter-in-law works at a hospital, huge hospital in the Atlanta area. They just got rid of everybody over 60. They just said, you're out of here. You're retired. If you don't take this package, you're going to be gone. I mean, I don't think they put in those words, but now I asked her what it's like. She said it's very, very light staffed. Now they'll rehire 20-year-olds to replace those 60-year-olds. So these type of people may be looking for food stamps after abruptly losing a career that they've had for 40 years. What do? Do you not feel empathy for these people? Do you not think that they should be able to eat? They were not planning on retiring abruptly. A lot of people have to work till 70. As Steve may be working till 70. We're trying every year for him to retire. So Social Security ages are going up. They're rumored to be going to be going up to 70. When Social Security was enacted in 1935 by FDR, I saw in another video that your life expectancy for, I believe, and I'll probably get this wrong, but for men it was like 58 and for women it was 60, 62. So it was well under 65 is the point. When they enacted the 65 age, they never expected you to live to 65. Now so many people are living to their 80s and 90s. That's not sustainable. So back to food stamps. What is your opinion? I believe that maybe there could be some reform. Maybe, I know there's a lot of debate, should you be able to buy Cokes and birthday cakes with food stamps? And I did see another video of Mornings with Granny, who said that she got married at 15. She was dirt poor. She got divorced at 29. And had 3 kids and was very, very poor. And she would see that her kids didn't get to have the treats that other kids had. So she buys a lot of sugary sweets and gives them to, donates them to thrift stores or wherever so poor kids can get these sweets. Now I'm conflicted because my mother and father both grew up very poor. My mother had a sweet tooth, my father did not. So my mother did give us a lot of sugar, even though not in dinner. She liked candy or cookies or, desserts. She liked desserts and sweets. So I do have, right now, 11 crowns. So I do not believe that you should be giving children candy because you think that they didn't get this ice cream bar today. I know for myself, because my teeth were in such bad shape, I focused on my kids having healthy teeth and I never gave out candy for Halloween. Here Halloween is coming up. I always had little tiny toys or if I gave any food, it'd be pretzels or some little bag of something. I did not buy candy, one, because kids get so much candy at Halloween. Being different, they like the toy, or I gave out Play-Doh one year. One kid said, what is this? And then the next kid jumped up and down. So you never know. But they don't need that much candy. They get so much candy from all the houses at Halloween. And then at school, you have your Halloween party, and they have these mega cupcakes that you get from big box stores. And then there's at least 1 to 2 birthdays a month in the class where they're getting cupcakes again. And then there's additional holidays. My kids had so many parties that without me giving out candy at home, they were able to get enough sugar from school. And then also we were required to bring in snacks for the whole class and take turns, and the other mothers would bring in sugary snacks. Now, when I was growing up, we had 0 snacks. 0 snacks. No morning snack, no afternoon snack, no after dinner snack. And we were all normal weight, and we were fine. I'm not sure why why today kids need to have snacks. I know the more processed foods and chips you eat, the hungrier you are during the day. If you're eating good, healthy foods, you don't get hungry during the day. Now, Steve said his school did have snacks, but it was carrot sticks and celery sticks when he was growing up. But we had no snacks. We had no cafeteria. You had to bring your lunch. We ate in the gym. We didn't have a cafeteria. So there was no free lunch, reduced lunch, or free breakfast. There was none of that. But in this current debate of taking away food stamps, it just reminded me when I was working in a school, and it was overall middle class to upper income school, but there was a lot of people for the projects or perhaps low income. And I was working as a special ed long-term sub, and I would go to another class. It was second grade, and I get there first thing in the morning, and one little boy he got a free breakfast, and he devoured every bite on that plate. Nothing was thrown out. But I remember this image is still in my head. He's eating an apple, getting every little bite off the apple. The boy was the thinnest boy you've ever seen. Thinnest in the class, just thinnest. And it was so sad. And then when snack came around, he had no snack. And the teacher was close to retirement, very religious, talked about going to church all the time, had her Bible verses on her desk. And the poor boy had no snack. And she said, I don't have money to give him a snack, even though she was married to a man making a lot of money, and she was making a lot of money at the end of her career. And her kids were grown and out of college. She said, I don't have money to buy his snack. His mother's a nurse. She needs to feed her child. And I believe he had 3 siblings at home. Well, I don't know what kind of nurse she was. She could have been a CNA, she could have been an LPN, or she could have been a lower level nurse. Doesn't mean she was an RN. But even at the RN level, they don't make that much money. They get paid per hour. And sometimes they get sent home if the hospital or whatever, doctor's office or whatever is not busy. They could get sent home. I don't know what she made, but the kid obviously wasn't eating a lot of food. I felt so bad. I wasn't making a lot of money. As a long-term sub, I think I made like $93 a day. It was pretty sad in Georgia what you make as a long-term sub. Steve wasn't making a lot as he lost his career in the Great Recession. But I couldn't stand to see this boy starving. So I went to the counselor and I said, I would like to buy, and it was early in the year. It was probably October. This was probably, I don't even remember, maybe 10 years ago. I said, I would like to buy this boy snacks for the rest of the year, or bring in snacks, whatever I need to do. This boy is hungry. What can I do? And the counselor looked at me and said, we have a program in the school. Look at all the food right here in my office. This is for kids who don't have snacks. We have a snack program in this school. Now, this teacher has worked at the school for 5 or 10 years. I know she knew that. She wanted to punish this boy. She wanted to punish this boy because his mother supposedly made too much money and should be feeding her child. I left shortly after that. My assignment ended. I think that the counselor sent in snacks to the classroom for this boy. I'm not really sure, but I don't understand, and I'm serious here. I do not understand how somebody could be that cruel. You could see the boy is starving. You could see how thin he is. When I first started the assignment, he was pretty happy and open, and I would work with him because he was one of the delayed learners. After being there 6 or 8 weeks, his attitude was changing. He was acting out. After being in that class with that teacher who was targeting him and thinking that he wasn't good enough, his behavior and personality started to change. I felt so sorry for him because I thought, what kind of future does he have? I found a lot of my support through the years growing up from my teachers. Growing up in a family of 8, you don't get a lot of attention, and my teachers reached out and gave me extra attention. Again, we didn't have any snacks in school. They didn't believe in snacks for whatever reason. I don't know why back then they didn't believe in snacks. But I know working in other schools, kids, there's a lot of machines, which I know it was a federal law that you can't have those chip machines. They had machines with potato chips and crackers. I believe, I don't know what president changed a law that they had to be taken out, but this same school district in high school kept those machines in, and all the poor kids would go rushing to the machine and buy those snacks. And the middle school didn't even have the machines. They bought all their snacks at Sam's and sold them at an inflated price to the kids to make lots of money off of the kids' bags. I'd watch these kids eating this processed foods, and I know that the more of that you ate, the hungrier you got. Because the breakfasts and lunches at school are not necessarily the healthiest. When I had to do breakfast duty one day, I looked at the sugar content on the food. Just one item had more than a day's amount of sugar. The little orange juice, the little sugary, I don't know, some kind of pastry with sugar poured all over it, some cream, some white cream frosting with sugar, just solid sugar. The amount of sugar in one of those items is more than what you should have in a day. So while I believe food stamps should be given out, perhaps we should be harsh and not allow certain items to be bought on food stamps. I don't think that's punishment. I think that's saving these kids' teeth and bodies. As they don't have money for doctors and dentist visits, this may really be a blessing to them. Oh, I don't know. See, like I said, I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of confusion. You tell me, do you think kids on food stamps should still get Cokes and sugary food, empty calories that are doing nothing for their bodies, their teeth, their minds? Or should they be given a shot in life and said that maybe you need to buy fruits and vegetables and healthy foods? We went shopping at Costco the other day, and I went to buy glasses. My glasses broke when I fell about a month ago. Steve glued the arm back on, but it's not going to last. And I'm having more and more difficulty seeing with my contacts because one lens is a reading lens and one lens is a distance lens. And in doing that, you kind of lose your peripheral vision, and maybe that contributed to the fall. I don't know, because it was an area where it went from no curbing to a curb. And Sammy jerked the leash or whatever and pulled me at that curb. And I fell. So it was a series of probably 5 things that caused me to fall. But anyway, my glasses broke, so I went to Costco because I had priced them in another place, and they were pretty pricey, as we all know. They were like $400 a pair. And I went to Costco and was looking at glasses while Steve was shopping. It took forever to get these glasses while he was buying all of our healthy foods. He said at one point he parked the cart and went to get something, and he came back, and an elderly lady was examining his food. She said, everything in the cart is so healthy. You eat really healthy, which we have made quite an effort in the last 5 years to eat healthy foods. I mean, he's always eaten more healthy than me because he grew up with his uncle being a doctor and his mother loving to cook and make healthy foods. My parents, again, grew up poor, so her father died when she was 5, so they did not have the healthiest foods. And that's what she passed on to us. I'm not saying we don't eat sugar. We definitely do. We try to get chocolate, or we do. Steve buys chocolate with 70%, I don't even know what it is. I don't know, 70% sugar. It's a reduced sugar chocolate. So it's a little tart, but it tastes fine. Satisfies my sweet tooth, and supposedly chocolate is a healthy thing for your heart, which who knows, because this year it's this food, next year it's a different food that is healthy for your heart, right? Coffee's good, then coffee's bad. Sugar's good, sugar's bad. You know, the rules change every year, but we are eating mostly fruits and vegetables, and we have a salad every night for dinner, sometimes with shrimp, sometimes with chicken. We did find out, which I had not realized, because Steve enjoys to cook and does all of the cooking, I did start feeling a little bit off. And this video popped up that said that this lady it's Little Poet. She's 70 years old, and she said she went to the ER and she found out she had a B12 deficiency. I had a B12 deficiency 5 years ago when I became, I don't know what I became, vegan or vegetarian. I got rid of all meat, 100% of meat, because they said meat was bad for my heart. Well, they didn't tell me when my doctor told me to stop eating meat. She did not tell me I then would need B12. I don't really like eggs, and I didn't eat eggs at all. So I had a severe B12 deficiency, which I took a pill, but then we did slowly start adding in meat again. So my B12's been fine, but then I started feeling off, and Steve said, oh, and so Little Poet said, she went to the emergency room, and I said to Steve, I've been feeling a little off myself, and he said, we don't eat red meat. It's gotten too expensive. So we haven't eaten red meat in months. And I'm like, well, I haven't really noticed because we didn't eat a lot to begin with. Maybe once or twice a week. But he said we eat basically no meat, shrimp, chicken, or tuna. But basically most days we don't eat any meat. And I don't really like eggs. So we started taking B12, and I do feel better. That's another thing. If you don't take B12 or don't have it from your meat and eggs, dairy, or animal products, you can get some neuropathy in your feet and not even know. It could be so slight you don't even know it, which maybe me not having enough B12 could have been another contributory factor to the fall. So now we take B12 every day. You take it with food under your tongue. Let it dissolve under your tongue. So like I said, lots of issues. So much going on in the world. Who isn't feeling anxious or stressed or a little off today? I want to know truly in the comments. If you do not feel like anything's changed and your world's the same, let me know. Let me know what you are doing that nothing's changed. If so, you're probably retired and living in a little bubble or something. You probably have a pension and Social Security and savings, and you're probably 70 to 80. Although boomers are the fastest growing homeless group, I want to know who is secure, who is not upset. Because I did text one of my sisters about, she doesn't want to talk about anything. She just refuses to talk about it. But my other sister just really hurt my feelings with her viewpoint. Didn't talk to her about food stamps, but I'm pretty sure she would say these people don't deserve to eat or something like that. I text my other sister about the other sisters. I have 3 sisters, and I was so upset. I said, morally, I'm having a hard time that she have these beliefs. And the other sister just ignored it and moved on. She won't even address the issue. I don't know if she agrees, doesn't agree. She just won't even talk about it. Won't even address it. Yet she does say she can't afford to retire. She's working at 66 and still working, can't afford to retire, even though she does have a pension and hasn't taken Social Security yet. So I know that everything in this world, in this country, has affected all of us. And going back to food stamps, you think people don't deserve to eat? Well, think about all these stores that are losing all that money. So the stores will close. People will lose jobs. Steve did lose his job. Another person lost her job in the same location. And it's not just you affected. We're all connected. We're all intertwined. It's like the story of the blanket, which I don't know where I saw. It's probably a biblical. Somebody told me this story years ago when I was in school or somewhere about a lady making a blanket with all these threads. And I tried to find it, and the only one story I could find was similar, that a lady was making a blanket, didn't like that brown dark color when she had all these bright colors, so she took the brown out. She took the brown out of the blanket, made it without the brown, and the blanket was never the same again. The bright colors now looked off. They didn't look as good. They were too shiny, too loud. She put that brown back in and found that it softened those bright colors and made the blanket look perfect. The point is, we're all connected. You take out those food stamps, there's a domino effect on all of us. It's not just the people who get food stamps that it impacts. It impacts all of us. And as people lose jobs, the economy shrinks, hospitals close. When people can no longer afford their insurance on ACA or Obamacare, same thing, that you think they never deserved in the first place because you don't get it, all of our insurance goes up and hospitals close. We've never had Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, same thing. Never had that insurance, never had subsidies, thank God. We've never been in that position. Although when Steve lost his job, I did price it, and I was quoted $900 with a huge deductible of like $9,000 or $10,000, and Cobra was $600. Cobra was usually the unaffordable insurance. For the first time, Cobra was more affordable than other insurance. A lot of deep issues, a lot of deep thoughts. We're all connected. Write what you think. Any hostile comments won't be posted, but any honest, true, accurate assessments of our economy or what's going on in America or your personal life or experience will be appreciated and will be shared. So have a great Wednesday. Have a great rest of the week. A great Halloween if you're giving out candy or trick-or-treating and taking your kids out. There's so many videos of people no longer buying candy as the bags of candy were so expensive. Again, I never bought candy for Halloween, and we don't even get any trick-or-treaters anymore, so we don't do anything. So I don't know what candy costs because we don't buy it. Have a great day, and until I see you again, take it easy.
Baby, how are you? How are you? You okay? Huh? You okay? You tired? You tired, huh? You won't look at me? You won't look at me? Sierra, you don't like the camera? You don't like the camera?